you can make millions and millions of dollars.
Is TikTok a fad?
It was the new opportunity. It was like, wow, not enough people are taking advantage of this platform. If you're not diversified in other platforms, then Amazon can take you down at any moment.
Right? How long do we have as sellers to really take advantage of TikTok trying to adopt as many customers as possible?
Today, we live in a world where everyone is on social media, and what better way to help people to purchase and buy things than through the content that they're already watching. And that's something that Amazon does not provide.
You've made multi-millions on TikTok Shop using content. What's the secret?
There's a few key things here. Is one,
welcome to Surviving Amazon, the podcast that exposes the brutal truth behind selling on Amazon. This is a war zone and only the strongest survive. Now, we're going to bring you insider stories and strategies from experts, sellers who have been through it all, the ups, the downs, and the moments that made them question if it was even all worth it. I'm Jonny Bradley, and today we're joined by Jordan Kilgour. He has fought through the chaos of Amazon selling, and he co-founded Gamenetics. That's where they started selling on Amazon, and has since gone on to generate millions through TikTok Shop for Gamenetics and millions for his clients as well. And I've known Jordan since we both started like 7 or 8 years ago. And he knows firsthand how challenging it is selling on Amazon and pushing through that pain. He's figured out a replicable system to succeed off of Amazon using TikTok Shop. He's lived it, he's survived it, and he's here to share exactly how he did it. So the first question, Jordan, how do you survive Amazon?
Oh man, it's a fun story that we have about surviving Amazon. But I'll say this, is that if you're not diversified in other platforms, then Amazon can take you down at any moment. And we lived that experience where Amazon removed some of our listings. We'll probably get into that a little bit more later. But really what it is all about is, you've got to think about your Amazon FBA business as a brand that is omnipresent. You've got to think about not having your eggs all in one basket, because unfortunately, we lived that nightmare that most of you are probably thinking right now. What if it happens to me? Well, it happened to us. And, you always never think it's going to happen to you. But then when it does, you're like, oh, man, like we got to figure something out quick,
Right. And what exactly happened? What you're alluding to is basically the fear of all Amazon sellers is that you start selling on Amazon, you start making some money, and then they go, and they basically sniper you and you're out. You're suspended, you're blocked, for whatever reason, sometimes, which is nonsense. Most of the time it's nonsense.
Yeah.
So what happened to you guys?
So what happened to us is we've been selling on Amazon for years. We started back in, I believe, 2017 was the first time we listed our products. And, back then there was a lot less competition. We were able to, get a great seller ranking at that point, ranking for a lot of good keywords, and we generated, thousands of reviews. We had 4.5 stars. I think we had 2,800 reviews on our listings. Mm-hmm. And then in 2020, while we're in the midst of kind of figuring out what we wanted to do, building our brand outside of Amazon, I think it was 2021, actually, around June or July of that year, 70% of our listings were just removed, were taken down. So we had different products with different variations, and about 70% of those were just taken down. And they said the listings had something to do with drugs, believe it or not.
No way.
Yeah, and we were selling like PlayStation and Xbox controllers that were like customized. And so like, that's really strange. I wonder why...
How did
the
they catch us?
description has anything to do with drugs. Yeah, right. How did they catch us? Smuggling. And so we escalated the issue time and time again, got in contact with reps, and we just could not get, someone could just not tell us what the thing was. What's the word? We scoured the descriptions, we looked through, try to find it, and nothing. And so after a certain period of time, heck, we've lost them, and we lost 70% of our revenue overnight because 95% of the business's money was coming through Amazon. And so we've got put in a very, very difficult position. There's nothing we could do about it. And still to this day, it's still in the same kind of situation. So that's the story. That's what happened to us. And it was very, very difficult.
You had,
you
had a lot of stuff, did you have a warehouse at that point?
Yeah.
And staff?
Yeah. So we had, I think at the time, how many employees did we have? I think we had 7 or 8 in-house employees, and we had a 4,200 square foot building we just bought the previous year before that. And yeah, we had I mean, I think it was probably $35,000 in overhead at that point, you know, because we were about ready to scale and build other sales channels at that point. We're in the process of doing that. And then we just lost 70% of our revenue. So we were, for the rest of the year, we were working strictly off profit.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
And that must have been, first of all, as a business owner, like it's just, you want to shake Amazon and go like, come on, can you just like, obviously just tell me where the problem is and we'll fix it.
Just tell me the damn problem. Like just tell us the problem. It's always just, and this goes for other platforms too, right? Even when you're running advertising, they never tell you the specific thing. It's like, how hard is it for you guys to just tell us the thing that we need to change? I want to change it. Just tell me what it is.
And yeah, the good thing, I guess you were really fortunate in looking back, and obviously that was an unfortunate time, but on the flip side, you were very fortunate that you were already looking into a more omni-channel presence, and you already had those plans in the works. So what did you end up doing? Because there was a big turnaround, you know, in the next few months after that, right?
There was. Yeah, and I actually had foresight of this because in 2021, we were already over a year into building our brand off of the platform. So if we didn't have foresight in 2020, when I was starting to notice there was a lot of competition on the platform, and I was like, you know, because I was in business with my brothers, I was like, hey, like, we need to start thinking about building a brand, because like if we don't, I think that we could be screwed, you know, because we'd already seen like 1 or 2 listings taken down and then we got them back up. But like, what happened if we can't get them back up, you know? And so at the time, we had just come off the back end of doing a $1.6 million year on Amazon. It was our best year to date. A lot of people were sitting around at home in 2020, you know, gaming, which we were very, very fortunate that our business did well during that time. A lot of people can't say the same. But it was like we had planned on launching our brand Gamenetics, because at the time on Amazon, we didn't really have much packaging. We didn't really have really much of anything. We were just still selling in the Microsoft and Sony boxes, so no one really knew who we were at that time. But then we were meant to launch in Q4 of 2021, you know, about 5 months later from when this whole Amazon thing happened. But as you know, there were delays. You know, it didn't quite happen because we were like, oh yeah, Q4 sales, we'll be able to get some good momentum. Didn't happen. Website wasn't done. And so we didn't launch until January of 2022. And so all of that time, we'd been basically paying bills off profit and also investing in building the brand, right? We ordered like 6,000 units of our brand packaging and all that. I mean, we spent probably, you know, $50,000 to $150,000 to really build all of these things out, right? Brand, packaging, website. You know, we extended our product offerings as well. And so it really came down to the wire where we were like, hey, like, we need to make money fast. We don't have time. Like, we have 6 weeks before we are at a point where like we have to start making some really serious cuts, you know? And so that's when I was looking at what opportunities we could have, and I was like, man, I don't know, you know, 6 weeks is a quick period of time to just pick up something and start generating a lot of money. But I thought that the best chance we had was TikTok. And I had hired a creative director the previous year, and I had him go through some like TikTok courses it was around July of 2021. And so I had him solely on TikTok when he was hired on. I think it was in August, and he was making TikToks. And so I was just trying to experiment on the platform, just trying to figure out like what actually is going on here. And so I was like, well, you know, YouTube, we could make more YouTube content because we had success there, but like that's going to take some time. And I was like looking at, you know, we could run ads, but like we don't really have a whole lot of money to run ads right now. So like, I don't know what we should do. I was like, my gut feeling was telling me TikTok. It was like, this is the opportunity that we have. So presented this plan to my brother and the rest of the team there. I was like, guys, like, we need to go all in on TikTok. Like, there's no choice. We were trying to post on all social media. It's like, no, we need to go full focus on TikTok right now. In the next 6 weeks, that's all we're going to do. So between me, creative director, other videographer, we spent every single day making TikToks, whether it was coming up with ideas, filming them, or editing them. That's what we were doing every single day for like 6 weeks straight. And we probably ended up making, I don't know how many, probably 100. 1 to 200, at least, maybe 150, like a lot. 3 to 5 a day we were basically posting. And within the first 2 weeks, we started getting sales. And this was all organically. So organically, we started generating sales, and I think we did about $12,000 in the first 2 weeks. We can break this down more if you want to. Wow. And then in the next month, or in month of February, we did around 58,000. So we ended up doing like $71,000 within 6 weeks on TikTok, all organic.
That's incredible.
Absolutely insane. And it saved our business. Like, it saved the trajectory of like where we were going and flipped it on its head. And we were good after that. The rest is history.
That's incredible. And I guess the question comes up here with like, okay, you've done 58 grand in a few weeks on TikTok, but is TikTok a fad? Were you worried? Yeah,
it's a good question. Back then, I wasn't at all, because it was the new opportunity. It was like, wow, like not enough people are taking advantage of this platform. It's 2022. I mean, people knew TikTok was up and coming, right? But even in the past 2 years, it has solidified my opinion that TikTok is not a fad at all. Wow. 100% not a fad. With the addition of TikTok ads, TikTok shop, it is not going anywhere.
And why do you think that? If we look at that from a couple of perspectives, from like macro, what do you think about the general TikTok ecosystem, but also from a brand perspective with Gameonetics, like what have you seen since that incredible first month on TikTok?
Yeah, from I guess our experience with Gameonetics, we've done multiple millions with TikTok at this point, just in the past couple of years, all through, organic TikTok ads, TikTok shop, and the platform has continued to develop in a direction that I think will surpass, or have the opportunity to surpass, what Amazon has done for sellers in 2006, right? Where Amazon FBA came out. Because the way that TikTok is positioning their whole platform is they are trying to be social commerce. Today, we live in a world where everyone is on social media, and what better way to help people to purchase and buy things than through the content that they're already watching. And that's something that Amazon does not provide. And so TikTok, in recent months, as we have direct access to TikTok reps, we've gone to TikTok headquarters in New York City and LA, they've told us that they're basically trying to train the behavior of the customers and the sellers to be buying on a social media platform. Like, that is the behavior they're trying to train. And so the goal with them is to compete with Amazon, which is why they're giving out $6 billion in coupons this Q4, and which is why they're trying to incentivize customers to buy on TikTok, because some products on TikTok are cheaper than on Amazon.
Yes. So
they're being very strict.
So from an Amazon seller perspective, a lot of people are saying, well, I want to sell on TikTok. Quite often you see content like, don't buy this on Amazon, buy it on TikTok shop. And from a seller's perspective, it's actually really beneficial, because you can list your product cheaper, but actually make more profit, because obviously TikTok are subsidizing these discounts. So they're giving you let's say they give you shipping free, right? Yeah. Well, I still get the money for shipping from TikTok.
Right.
So the question is, like, how long is that going to last, right? How long do we have as sellers to really take advantage of TikTok trying to adopt as many customers as possible?
Yeah, honestly, we have no idea, and I think that time will become a lot shorter as we move forward. I think they're going to be giving out less and less money, because TikTok Shop is becoming a lot bigger. I think that if you aren't on the platform now, you need to get on now and start using those coupons, because it's free money. I mean, it's positioning your product in a way where like you're getting discounts, but you're not even covering that discount. So like, there's no time to waste. Now is the time, especially Q4 right now. With the addition of opening up, being able to fulfill from Amazon FBA, or being able to sell those products to Amazon FBA on TikTok, like, there is no time to waste here, because the amount of coupons they're giving out. And if you're, for example, just to give people a little bit of context too, is there's something called a TikTok Shop partner, which we're a TikTok Shop partner. We have an agency where we help basically TikTok Shop brands to be able to come on and get certain promotions or access to beta features. And there's two things that are coming to or that are being offered for us to lock in with some of our TikTok shops. And the first one is that we can basically lock in a 20% discount for the Black Friday and Cyber Monday season for a particular product or SKU for one of our TikTok shop brands, where like they can have that on their shop that they're not covering the cost, right?
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. In addition to all the coupons, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and also like beta features, for example, I don't know the exact statistic, but Gen Z are searching for solutions on TikTok more than Google, which is crazy, right? Like it's changing the way that people are interacting with, or finding answers. And so they're also opening up a new beta program to run search-based TikTok ads. So they're actually allowing you to use keywords to run campaigns behind on TikTok, which is crazy. So it really just goes to show like the potential that TikTok has, and there's no time to waste, because some products that are on Amazon, and I've been doing this a lot recently because I'm really trying to dive into understanding this dynamic more and more. There's so many Amazon FBA products that aren't on TikTok yet. The door is wide open to take advantage of the
What I've seen on TikTok Shop at the moment is you see a lot of low quality products. And that's because maybe some of them are drop shipped or being done by people that are just like making hay while the sun shines. So they're thinking, right, well, let's make as much money as we humanly can, as cheaply as possible. And I think there is definitely an opportunity for some brands that have something that's high quality, like you guys, to say, cool, we're on TikTok Shop. This is all our content. All these influencers are talking about our product. It's really high quality. You can buy it on Amazon, but you can just get it cheaper here, right? Or you can buy it on a website, or you can get it cheaper here. So I definitely think there's an opportunity there. And you've mentioned a few very interesting snippets of information. And I agree with you. This is the time to do, well, obviously, if you're doing it at the moment, fantastic. But if you're not, then it really is now. Like, make Q4 this year the time where you're starting up your TikTok shop. With Amazon, it's extremely easy to connect it with your multi-channel fulfillment, so that you don't even need to do anything. You can import your products from Amazon to TikTok Shop with a few clicks. It's not like setting up a Shopify site, right? Where you've got to, you've got to make the whole site. You've got to do everything. It's actually super, super simple if you've already done it on Amazon. But then the next concern people have is, well, how do I actually make content that converts into cash, right? So you guys you've made multi-millions on TikTok Shop using content. What's the secret?
Yeah, content is always the barrier, I feel like, for people, is they think that they have to like reinvent the wheel, or, they need to use, whether it's expensive equipment, or, maybe they just don't want to get on camera. They don't want to put their face on camera, and it's completely understandable. Fortunately for us, we've been able to really lean in with our in-house content and actually create content. But what it's done is it's allowed us to understand the frameworks behind what makes good content. And so we've understood that there's a few key things here. Is one, making good organic content that goes viral might not be exactly the same as content that converts. And in addition, if you're looking to like start doing content, you don't even have to be the person on camera. You don't need to be the person who's making that content. There's a few different things that you can do when it comes to content, and something that we've learned. Again, I think we all kind of understand that the most important part of getting good converting or making good converting ads is that hook, right? It's that first 0.5 to 3 seconds that you're drawing people into the video. And then one of the biggest parts of really selling your product is demonstrating it. Demonstrating it does the best way of selling it, and you're doing it in a way where it's authentic. And what I mean by that is, if you have a product that is maybe a household item, you want to actually demonstrate how that product solves a particular issue in the home, right? Like, that's how you want to show it. There's different trends and stuff you can play off, but if we're staying high level and just conceptually, like the best way to do it is to do something in the first few seconds that draws people in. This could be a camera movement, a question, some text on screen. It could be something weird or strange. A lot of people do that and it works really well. But then in the main part of the video, you're demonstrating how the product solves the problem and explaining how it does that. So let's say you're not the one who wants to make the piece of content. Let's say you want someone else to do it. How do I go about that? Well, there's two different ways. There's the TikTok Shop Affiliate Center, where you can actually reach out to creators and create open collaborations. You can offer your products basically in exchange for content. Now, in the beginning, when you start this, you want to give a high percentage of affiliate revenue, right? You want to get your product in the hands of these people. So you can offer anywhere between 20,
30%, something like that?
Yeah, 20, 30, even 40%. The whole goal here is not to make money. It's just to get content made. You can bring that percentage down over time. So even if that's a little bit of a cost to you, it'll serve you well in just getting some content and getting some initial sales. The other option is using tools like Yuka and also Callow data, which allows you to basically get information from you get analytics and key details from like, how are these TikTok shops actually performing in revenue? What products are they generating the most revenue from? What creators are then making those videos that's generating the revenue? You can see specific creator GMV. You can see how much money they're making off every video. So then you can reach out to them via TikTok. Some people have their Instagram and email there as well, which we find works better to reach out to them that way. And you can actually ask them to create you content in exchange for product, or you can even pay them a little bit of a retainer, because if they've got proven GMV, then why would you not want to use them if they've maybe sold a similar product?
So could you do this for a brand new brand? You're thinking, right, we've got a new brand that we're launching. Let's use this as our marketing and launch strategy to reach out to these people. We know they've done content for our competitors. We can maybe offer this a bit cheaper or at the same price, but with a bigger commission. But for that creator, from their perspective, they're like, well, they're now being offered basically more money, maybe, or to create something that's a cheaper price to sell easier. And they just have to do the content that they already know how to create. Is that kind of what you're saying there?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is the ecosystem on TikTok, because it's a social media platform, it's easier to, I think, find people to make content for you and get people to come in and do that. With Amazon, you don't even really need to think about content, right? This is kind of the additional variable that I think a lot of Amazon sellers, maybe it's new territory for them, It's like, okay, well, I've never had to think about making video content before. Like, how do I even do this, But there are lots of cool tools, for example, like Jungle Scout, and I'm sure other tools on Amazon that you can use that gives you that, it gives you revenue and key details about the actual seller and how much they're making. Well, that's what Callow data and Yuka does, is it gives you those key details, but even further, like specifically for the content that's being made and generating GMV.
That's incredible. So you're not, so for one instance, you can say, well, I know if I want to approach people, these are the sort of people I need to approach. They're doing well and it's proven data. But also if I just kind of want to look at that content and take influence from it, I can, and I want to make it myself, or I want to hire someone to do it, then I can take those hooks and I can maybe not steal them completely, but take influence and go, cool, let's try something organically and see if we can make sales without giving this affiliate commission.
100%.
And test all of those pieces of content.
Yeah, exactly. You can take, proven content that's generated actual sales and just replicate that.
Wow. That's incredible. And that's really hard, because if we look like, more of your background, if we go back quite a few years, is more within like Facebook and Instagram, from the agency perspective, right?
Yeah.
And back then, you'd go to people's ad libraries and you would go through and look at their creatives, but you would never be able to see how much money they've made from that. You'd only be able to go, well, they've ran this for 8 months and it's got 500,000 views. It's got, so maybe they're making money from it, but you have no idea. It might be a retargeting, like, who knows? I think this is something that alone is something that most people obviously won't know. But typically, like, an Amazon seller won't know that, and they'll go, wow, shit, this is something that I know I can leverage. I know data. Amazon is obviously a lot about data and how you use it. Take this data, and then we can cookie cutter this content to actually bring this success for our brand off of Amazon. And, if that day ever does come where they take us down, then we're not as concerned about it. Obviously concerning, but not as concerned. So when people start this process, right, you've got either a brand that's coming to TikTok, you've got an Amazon seller coming to TikTok or whatever. Are there key mistakes that they do make that you've seen time and time again?
Yeah. So are you talking specifically about like getting set up initially?
I really just like, if someone's listening and they're going, shit, I need to do this, I'm going to go and set up right now. Yeah. What are the mistakes that they're probably going to make?
So the good thing about people who already sell on Amazon, because, we talk to lots of different segments of people who are in e-commerce, right? Like, dropshippers really have no contextual understanding to like what TikTok shop, like how much of a beast TikTok shop seller center really is. But because everyone who's listening right now has sold on Amazon, is selling on Amazon, it's very similar to how the Amazon seller center is as well. Like it's basically just another seller center.
It's
right?
basically the same word, but with a few letters difference. Seller
Exactly.
center and seller central.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to like getting things moved over or set up on TikTok Shop, again, you kind of want to just follow normal protocol in setting up your listings in a way they're going to convert, right? And Jonny talks about this. He's helped us a lot with our Gamenetics listings as well. Keep it short and brief, small phrases or, 2, 3, 4 words as, one benefit per image and things like that. So the listings are very important with TikTok Shop. I think the biggest thing that people run into is getting approved, the listings approved. But again, being a Amazon seller, you guys have been through that process. So you kind of understand a lot of those things are what hold people back on getting on TikTok Shop. So the barrier to entry for a TikTok or an Amazon seller, I believe is really not that crazy. The biggest problem though, that most people will start to run into is if you are not a stickler about your TikTok Shop score, it will ruin you. You have to be a stickler. So your TikTok Shop score is how TikTok, it's kind of like your seller rating, right? Like you have like your customer rating, right? 4.5 out of 5 stars. But then you have a TikTok Shop score. Now this TikTok Shop score is measured by 6 different KPIs. And these 6 different KPIs will determine how much TikTok will push your shop out organically, up to 30%, right? But if your TikTok Shop score is lower, they won't promote it as much and you'll have less benefits. So one of them, for example, is if you don't have a score of 2.5, they won't co-fund your free shipping, right? So you have to pay for that.
Okay.
So there's different thresholds you have with your TikTok Shop score. And I'd have to pull up and see exactly what the 6 KPIs are exactly. But like a lot of them have to do with logistics and fulfillment, which is already really taken care of with Amazon. You've already kind of got that sorted. But you've got, reviews, right? Reviews and, returns and, people can leave bad reviews about like your product quality and those sorts of things. So again, like providing a good customer experience is a very, very, very key piece of the TikTok Shop score as well. So there's these indicators that a lot of times people aren't watching carefully, and there's notifications that pop up in the center like to, this is an urgent thing or focus on this or fix this. But if you don't focus on that in the beginning, it will always be an uphill battle if you get, hit hard with a few different like discrepancies or your percentage of, there's like a non-seller fault rate and stuff like that. If you hit over those thresholds, then you're going to be really struggling to like build that score back up.
But I guess that's very similar to Amazon, right? We have
exactly
in terms of requirements, compliance, being in stock, being out of stock, having seller ratings, having feedback, return ratings or return scores. Amazon are very quick to say, hey, you've done this badly and we're gonna mess you up for it, you're getting high returns, we're going to take this listing down and you've got to tell us how you're going to come and resolve it, otherwise we're not going to be allowed to sell that. So I guess that's also a benefit for sellers, for Amazon sellers transitioning over, because they're already used to this very strict process and procedure on how their products should be in terms of the quality and the performance of them. The marketing claims that they make they shouldn't be exaggerating. The returns process should be easy. Obviously the fulfillment you mentioned, we can choose through the multi-channel fulfillment, have it standard shipping or have it expedited. Hey, if it's being subsidized, let's get it expedited and get it to them next day. And I think there's a big benefit there for people that are leveraging FBA or have a fulfillment center that can keep up with those sales and those sales timelines, where there shouldn't really be an issue because we've already ticked those boxes probably to a much higher degree on Amazon already. And I guess that gives us a competitive advantage, right? Because there's a lot of people like drop shippers, they won't have that deep level of logistics and process and compliance because maybe they just, one, don't care about it, but two, don't really have to deal with it because they never see the product, they never see the customer, like they don't really care. If the customer has a problem, I'll just shut down the store, like whatever. Would you agree with that?
So, yeah, 100% I would agree with that. It is very similar to Amazon and how they score things. I think that with the, TikTok shop score. I can't remember. Does Amazon actually have a seller score though?
So there's a variety of different scores. Yeah. So the big one
Okay.
is your like account health, essentially. It's saying,
Okay.
hey, here's all the numbers. And if you do this bad thing, then we're going to knock you down. And if we do another bad thing, we're going to knock you down again. And some of those issues, like for example, if you cancel orders from customers, then that has a big impact, right? If you just have a sale, it's not done for FBA, it's done through fulfilled by merchant, and you just start canceling orders, Amazon are going to really have a problem with you, and that can bring your account down if you really take advantage of it. And if people are buying products and you're saying we don't have these products to sell, that's a big problem. So yeah, there's an equivalent sort of metric, but there's quite a few different metrics that all again go into that. Definitely more than 6.
Yeah. No, usually my brother's like managing the back end of Amazon a lot more, so he's a bit more familiar with like all those little details. So for me, like, putting my head into this is and being on the back end of a lot of TikTok shop seller centers, it's like there's a lot of things that maybe I didn't know before that I'm still learning too. We've learned through, I guess, trial and error with some of the clients and stores we've had over the past year, what not to do.
Right, yeah.
So we've learned a lot of things.
Most of the time,
So
that's what we're doing as business owners, is we're figuring out what levers to pull and which ones are essentially just letting the floor fall out and you're collapsing through the floor into a fiery pit, and the other ones which are dropping money on your head. Like, you don't know which ones are going to work, and sometimes you just pull a lever and you're like, well, fuck, this is you're burning. But that's how
I think no, for sure. And so I think when it comes back to it, then the answering the question to what is kind of the difficult thing as an Amazon seller coming to TikTok shop, and I would say that it's not really about all of the back end logistics and score and all that. It really is about the content. I think the content is the biggest barrier to entry, and I think that most sellers are going to be afraid that content is what drives sales, and because there's a lack of experience there, that it may be disincentivizing them or maybe scary to think about, just like that's the reason that they're being held back from starting on TikTok shop. And so that fear is going to hold them back from making millions of dollars. Like, I believe that we're so early on in TikTok shop at this point that you just have to embrace that there's going to be something new that's going to have to be learned, and also have the understanding that you have the leverage to use affiliates in platform, right? Like, you don't have to go to some other site like Billio and find UGC content. Like, you can use this in platform and get people to make content for you. And you can also use tools like Calidata and Yuka to find creators. And so it's a very normal thing for people on TikTok to make content for businesses, because the other big opportunity right now is TikTok shop affiliates. People are making hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars through making content for brands. And so it's kind of this perfect, harmonious, like, partnership between creators and customers and people who want to make money making content, and people who want to sell products as businesses. And TikTok is merging those things together and making it a win-win situation both ways. So that's what I think is so great about what TikTok is doing.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you kind of threw it in there, kind of like a brush off comment, right? You're basically missing out on millions. As a seller, right? How much money could I actually make?
I think you can make millions and millions of dollars, and very quickly. The biggest thing is scale, and scale happens with content. So if you can embrace content as a means to scale, right? You don't need to, pump a bunch of ad spend. Like, you can scale with creators. Now, you will have to give out product, but in that exchange, that's how you scale. And it only takes a few key creators who know how to make great content to go viral on a video, and you make hundreds of thousands of dollars of one single video within 3 days.
And you can see if they've already done that, which I think is the incredible thing.
Yeah.
You can see if they've already done that. So
it's like cheating.
yeah. And the key thing here is that when we look at like Amazon PPC or any advertising for that matter, it's on a basically you pay for the traffic regardless if it converts or not. You're paying for
Yeah.
traffic. With affiliates, it's completely different. You're only paying once you've made money, once you've sold the product. And I think that's the thing when, for any business, if I can only pay for my marketing spends when I've sold the product, then it makes sense to try and do as much of that as possible. As long as it's within a profitable place or it meets my criteria. If you're launching, then obviously you might want to give away some more commission. You would be like, well, okay, how many people can we give these products out to? How many influencers can we get on board? How much content can we give? Because that's the same as saying we have a winning ad creative. We need to spend as much money as possible. It's the same thing, but just a different way of acquiring a customer. And the crazy thing is, and this is the thing that I think is really interesting about this whole thing, you can find these content creators. You can test the content essentially for free in exchange for a product, right? So you send you might send out, 20, 50, 100, whatever, how many products you can get out. They test the content, they make the content, you make sales. From that, you might see 3, 4, 5 pieces of content that do, like you said, really, really well. These are my winning creatives. You can use that to go to other creators and say, this is the stuff that's worked really well. You can then take those creatives and then run ads on those creatives, right? On TikTok.
Yes, correct.
So what happens when you do that?
Yeah, you can basically double dip, at that point, right? Like you can have the creators post the content and make the content. Then if they do really well, you can basically extract that content. You can do this through them giving you a post ID, or just it's basically an ID that allows you to then have permission to run it as an ad. And so then you can go into the TikTok Business Center where you can run the TikTok ads, and you can set up an ad campaign where you have the, let's say 3 to 5 winning ads that other creators have made that have made you GMV, generated you, sales, and run more ad spend behind those winning creatives. So then you can scale your ad campaign as well and get that out to even more people that it didn't reach just organically.
And how does that work with the commissions? Because if you're, say, paying them 30% commission and ads on top, are you able to change that commission structure, or is it a case of you set that deal up and that's kind of set in stone?
Yeah, you would have to have some sort of renegotiation of terms, because once you kind of set up that deal structure and that video has been posted, like that's what they're going to get. So you would have to pay them out what you'd agreed to. So you do need to obviously take that into consideration when you're running ads. In the beginning, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense unless you're looking to like do it extremely quickly, but I still wouldn't recommend it, because the goal is to find winning creatives for your brand, right? So you want to get creatives that are going to work for your product before you start really pushing heavy ad spend behind it. So it is like set in stone. Once you like set those parameters, like that's what it's going to be. But you can drop your commission later, but then those new round of people that accept the open collaboration can then be at a lower rate. So that would just have to be something you manage. Yeah,
that's fine. But at least at that point, you'll know this is the sort of content that we've seen does well.
Yeah,
these are not the guidelines, but hey, if you want to make money creating content for us, then look, here's some of the content that's done really well in the past. And that I think really, that I think is really powerful. Now, in terms of where does this go forward, I think everyone, if there's people watching that are selling and they're not doing this, and I'd obviously highly recommend that they first of all check out your stuff, and I'll let them know how to find that, near the end. But there's definitely a concern at the moment with what's happening with TikTok. So for anyone that doesn't know, are you able to explain what's happening with the future of TikTok over the next few months? 19th of January. Yeah.
So there was a requirement that TikTok was to sell the company because of, we're not going to get into all the details, but because it's a Chinese-owned company, they're getting intel from the US through this app, right? Like that's the theory, at least.
Yeah.
And so they've been asked to sell the company by January 19th. And, it's interesting that, all the things that have played out over the last year, I would say, since the announcement, I think it's been about a year, maybe a little bit longer. We've been to multiple events, one specifically at the New York headquarters at TikTok. And we had a lady come up and talk about this specific issue for about 30 minutes. Wow. And one of the things that they mentioned is that everything that they're doing to present TikTok as like this, negative, bad thing. We got to get rid of it. She was explaining with some detail about how they actually don't have any basis to stand on to ban TikTok in the US. I mean, it's our First Amendment right to have freedom of speech, to be able to express ourselves through, online, through social media platforms. And so the main consensus of the conversation was that we're 100% taking them to court. They can't take this away from us. And so my theory in what's going to happen with TikTok is this going to be a very long, extended court case. January 19th is not going to happen because they're going to take them to court. They're going to sue them for, trying to take the platform away. So that's the first thing, right? Second thing is, let's say that for some reason they're able to get everything pushed, and this could be years and years of court cases to get to a point where like this is a closed case. But there have been talks about other people buying the platform, some really, really big people. And the truth is that this is why I believe no matter what happens to the platform, it's not going anywhere. And that's because one, taking this to court and actually like playing this out, it might not even happen. And two, TikTok has the most attention in the entire world. It is the platform that is driving the most attention. People on it 3 times more than Facebook. And it's a platform that's here to stay. And I think that people who have a lot of money, they understand that. I mean, think about Elon Musk buying X, right? Buying Twitter. This is a platform that is going to allow him to have a place where he can create that freedom of speech. And people who have money, they want to buy that attention because it can be monetized to an extreme amount. Yeah. And so it's either someone's going to come in and buy it, or they're going to go to court and play this out, and they're going to pitch their case, and they're going to get this closed. So I don't believe TikTok's going anywhere. There's been too many signs of that. There's been other conversations that we've had with our reps at TikTok and what they're doing to combat this. They're not just kind of throwing their hands up and being like, oh, it's done, January 19th, like, bye-bye, US isn't going to have TikTok. Like, that's not the sentiment. Like, they are fighting this, and I believe this is not okay for them to just come in and say, hey, it's gone. They're taking TikTok away.
I agree with you. I think what you've said has made a lot of sense. First of all, they've got enough money to not just go quietly into the night, right? They can put up a fight, and it's not going to be a case where the 20th comes and there's no TikTok. That's just not going to happen. I don't think anyone sees that as an eventuality. I think what you're right in saying is probably going to be a long, drawn out process, which will eventually lead to it being absolutely fine. But it's quite interesting to think of if someone was to buy it, like who's got enough money to even think about that sort of purchase. We know that Meta couldn't buy it. There's no way that they could, just because they would then own too much. And it's the sort of massive companies like your Elon Musks or Amazon. It would make sense as an Amazon purchase to bring that. It would make a lot of sense, right? Isn't Amazon one of the largest advertisers on TikTok, or something like that? Maybe I read that wrong. I'm
not sure, but like they're direct competitors with Amazon. So like Amazon should take out TikTok because they're coming for them. Like they're putting up a fight. They're trying to compete with Amazon. They're running the sales the same days as Amazon, so they're trying to take their customers.
Yeah, well, exactly. And for them, it would be a perfect acquisition. But then think, obviously, there's other companies out there that maybe that are just ginormous, but you don't see as much of a use case, like Nvidia. Obviously, ginormous company. They're the sorts of people that have enough money or clout to say, hey, look, we can easily absorb this. But what are they going to do with it, right? What are they going to do with it? I think I agree with you. Probably nothing's going to happen. I think the realistic hat on is that probably nothing's going to happen other than court cases. But it is quite interesting to speculate, to think, well, if this was to happen, who would we want to buy it, right? Who do we want to have that control? And maybe, look, and actually, maybe Amazon isn't the best people to actually have that, because then it might not be as desirable as it is right now, because rather than saying we want to grow and we want to take over Amazon, they'll be like, well, we should just maybe quietly keep this as content, and we'll keep Amazon as Amazon. But it's definitely an interesting, I guess, thought experiment. In a few months, we'll obviously find out, I guess.
There's a few individuals, I cannot remember their names though, but there's been a few individuals that have come forward and have, you know, thrown out the idea, and maybe it's for the news or maybe it's for whatever reason, but they've come out and said like they've had interest in acquiring TikTok. It's just that the funds that people need in order, like for an individual, right? You have to be a very wealthy person to acquire TikTok. Yeah, billions of dollars. They've come out and said that. I can't remember the names of the people though.
There was a guy from Shark Tank that I think said it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Was it Kevin O'Leary?
Kevin O'Leary, yeah.
Yeah. So Kevin O'Leary was one of them, which would be quite something.
But again, I think that's more clout. You know, it's more for the and for the marketing for him.
Yeah, like I don't know how serious he would, you know, consider that. So there are some individuals I think that would be, you know, interested in acquiring, but you know, the owner said he wouldn't sell it. I don't think that's the case. That's just a whole, you know, him putting his foot down, and you know, once they take him to court and go through this whole process, like, you know, he's not just going to dissolve the company in the US because he could make billions off it. You know, there's no way.
Exactly. You know, if he had to do it, you'd be like, okay, I'll sell it.
Yeah, right.
So kind of moving back to more sane topics. So there's obviously quite a few things that you do. You know, we've worked together on a variety of different stuff over years, right? But now, obviously, there's game ethics, and that's all good, right? But you also have X Factor. So can you just tell me just a little bit about what you guys actually do? I know you've given some explanation today, but I think what you guys are doing is very well placed for what a lot of sellers will need at some point. So tell us all about it.
For sure. Yeah, so X Factor was a company that was really born from Gamenetics. 2 years ago, September 2022, after all the success we've had on TikTok, I was like, what if we started a company that we could replicate this process over and over again for other brands? Because TikTok was our saving grace. It was the thing that helped us explode our business. You know, we have over, I think, close to 600,000 followers now on TikTok. And I was like, what could we do to help other brands generate that same revenue on TikTok? So we kind of developed this process, and we started onboarding brands to help them, you know, run TikTok ads. And that's kind of what X Factor has become. It's an e-commerce marketing agency that focuses on running TikTok ads. We've done, you know, Meta ads and Google as well. We have experience doing that. But in recent months, we've actually seen the impact that TikTok has had and TikTok Shop has had on I guess the whole market, that we've actually pivoted our agency now to just TikTok Shop. And that involves running TikTok ads still, but we've really pivoted to being a TikTok Shop agency because not only are we TikTok Shop partners now, we have direct access to TikTok and there's all sorts of things we can offer to our clients, but it's just the opportunity that I think we wanted to take a hold of because it's going to be so big. I believe it could be bigger than Amazon. I believe that TikTok Shop is going to be an avenue for so many new and young, you know, multi-millionaires. And, you know, there's just no competition right now. And there's no agency that positions themselves that way. So we're continuing to learn more and more every day. The TikTok Shop Seller Center is so important to for us to be able to fully understand to its depths so that we can support new sellers who come on the platform. And really help them scale quickly. So we've kind of combined all the experience with content and advertising, and then paired it now with the Seller Center. We can kind of understand, like, you know, our superpower is really making content and running ads and scaling. That's what we're good at, is creative. So I think it pairs really, really well. So that's what X Factor really is. And
you're one of the few companies that have actually been able to become, you know, what's the official TikTok partner?
TikTok Shop partner. Yeah.
How did that?
There's only 100. There's only about 100 in the US. There's 421, I think, worldwide. And how that came about was we were generating significant results on TikTok ads for our clients. And so we had our agency partner at TikTok. He was like, hey, you know, you guys are doing really well over here. We have this like new TikTok Shop program. Would you guys like to be a part of it? And so we said, yes, you know, sure. And so then we got introduced to some other representatives at TikTok who were kind of managing the whole TikTok Shop program. And then, you know, over the last few months, we've actually been able to become TikTok Shop partners. And so that gives us priority access, invites us to private events. We went out to one about 2 weeks ago in LA. And yeah, so it's been a process. You know, everything's kind of been, you know, stepping stones and milestones as we've grown as an agency as well. So it's been cool.
Amazing. Yeah. And how can people, congratulations, first of all, obviously, from my perspective, some people might not know you. They'll obviously know you a bit better but we've known each other for years and years and years and years, and we started our general journeys basically around the same time.
Yeah, we quit our jobs at like the same time, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's it's been, there's plenty of people that you can come see and go, or they pop up quick and they disappear quite quick as well. But the thing I like about you is you've always been just pushing away, and you've really kept an eye on this, and you've been looking at content, and you've been doing this for years now. And it's so good to see you in a position where you're one of the leading, essentially global brands for TikTok Shop. And I think that's going to put you in a very, very good position over the next 5 years as well. So I would recommend anyone that is listening to this or watching this to go and check you guys out. So how can we do that? What's the best way?
Yeah, great question. So you can actually just send me a DM on Instagram. It's Jordan Kilgour. I'm sure Jonny will put it somewhere where you guys can find it. Send me a DM. Let me know you guys have any questions. I know there's a lot of questions that come to TikTok Shop, so you can find us there. And then we also have our community now that we've opened up where you can go and actually get help from some of us. So that'll also be linked to my Instagram bio.
Amazing. Fantastic. And if you want to work with you guys directly, just send you a message.
Yeah. I would just send us a message.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, look, thank you, Jordan, for spending time out of your day to do this. And help us survive Amazon, right? Thank you for helping us survive. Now, if you've liked this episode, guys, and you found it helpful, please do give it a like, a subscribe, and a comment, and share it with other sellers. This is something that we believe a lot of people should know about. A lot of sellers should understand and leverage to make more money, right? So you can continue, and we can continue to help more sellers survive on Amazon. Thank you again, Jordan, and bye-bye.